Hello and welcome back to the Aftershow for episode 4 of Monster Hearts River Valley High. Right, well that was the thing.
It was a mess.
It was a thing.
You're muted, Lauren.
Oh, I was just reading chat. I only have one question. What?
It's fair. Yeah. That's Adam's question, really.
I do appreciate Finley's question, which was, what was the original plotline going to be before the players decided to pay no attention? There wasn't one.
With 4 episodes of Monster Hearts and people who've played Monster
bother.
Hearts before, yeah.
I had stuff like, yeah, there will be the Men in Black. They're around. They're there if I need anything antagonistic that's like, big picture stuff. I've got Oberon is gonna like try and, have some conflicts with Daisy, and then I had Oliver, Carlos, and Zoe, and just like their own individual like motivations. But I didn't.
Were the Men in
bother
Black
with the
there
plot.
because there was this weird confluence of weird people, or did they deliberately engineer all the weird people to be in one place?
They were there because of Tiffany.
I'm an alien.
They didn't know
She's
about
an
the rest
alien.
of it.
They knew she was an alien. They knew she was adopted. And they actually also knew about Adam because we never talked about this, but the intention was that your dad, Dr. Walton, had worked for them.
I was gonna say he was an X-Men in Black.
And then he left about 3 weeks ago. Or maybe a little
Oh,
bit longer.
well,
However
he's
long
like,
it
my
took to
experiment
gestate
succeeded.
you.
I should probably bugger off before they notice I've made a clone.
Yeah. I was like, I need to get out. And my thing was like, at the end, I wanted to leave the planet. It was either I was going to leave the planet having destroyed it, or leaving the planet.
I'm glad I didn't take that move in the Fey one, because I was tempted to take that move and then use it on Zoe, so that me and Zoe could have a lovely like trip to the Fey world.
Oh.
Carlos was originally inspired by Carlos from Night Vale just because of the name. And then I actually didn't decide in the beginning that... I decided early on that Zoe was a witch, although at one point I thought I might make her an infernal. And then I was like, nah, Carlos needs to be a werewolf. Like, I just decided
It was
that
so
about
good.
partway through
Carlos
episode 1.
is such a sweetheart.
But yeah, I went back and forth on whether or not Oliver was anything, and I just thought it was funnier if he was just a totally normal but kind of sociopathic human.
Yeah.
Like, he's just an asshole.
Yep.
Yes, Carlos was definitely more from Monster Prom. He was the werewolf character. Like, Scott from Monster Prom, he's the best.
Yep.
That's great.
Did anyone
such an
have
idiot.
something they wanted to do that they didn't get to do?
Hey, Adam.
Yeah, bang Adam.
Yeah. I think everyone's like, Adam.
I thought we were so close, and we all had got together in the room at the end. I was like, excellent, 4-way, here we go. Let's make
Kind of
that
wanted to make.
shape
I
more
kind
complex.
of wanted to have Daisy be part of my gang at one point, but it just never.
You could have
In
totally
the
worked
role
that in.
play, like that was kind of one of my goals, but in the role play, it ended up being like it didn't make sense. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Because
having Cecil
like-
part was cool.
I deliberately wanted Daisy to be effectively like a kind of blank canvas to be manipulated, because that's fun in Monster Hearts. So,
Still my favorite scene. Still my favorite scene, even with the finale, is Daisy versus Cecil with the fire
Good.
in the bike
Final
thing.
Man,
That
that's just because you all
scene,
set it up. You all
that
set
scene
it
is
up so...
just too real to me. Like I'm just like, oh my god, this is like a horror film. Oh,
That was real slick.
Yeah,
I
for those
like
like the
asking,
RP
yes,
was
Hollow.
just so good. I loved it.
Yep.
It would have been cool to have a scene, but there was nowhere where it would have worked of Adam rejecting his dad
Yeah.
Hmm.
and just being
Someone-
like, no, screw you, I don't have to turn into a copy of you. It doesn't even make sense.
like
You didn't give
that's-
me time.
That's like
Someone
denouement
is
stuff, right?
asking
Where-
what was Adam's book.
It was Hollow. So yeah,
Hollow.
it's like you were born yesterday. You don't know who you are, and you're trying to work that out and just be normal.
Literally, the person's name was someone in the chat.
I feel like Carlos would probably like egg you towards that now. As like that's like post initial story. Because now you have
tell him
someone
about the
who's,
situation. He's like, "Wow, that guy is an asshole. You should tell him he's an asshole."
Like, yeah. They used to
People
seem
want a season 2.
like a really
I
bad pack
Yeah.
leader.
I would so play a season 2. But we'd have to have Lauren play in season 2 as a player, as Zoe. Bring
That's
back
very
Daisy,
great.
bring back Adam, and then Josh would have to play something else.
Carlos. Kind of what I
Carlos
want.
is precious. Don't touch him.
I want
Yeah,
for
no,
2
not
or 3
Carlos.
years is like I want Zoe and Adam to be getting on really well, and like they, start talking about like maybe getting married or something, and who will be best man, bridesmaid, etc., whatever. And like
I no offense. Like, Adam's lovely and Zoe's a mess. I don't have enough faith that this relationship is
totally.
gonna last beyond a
But
month.
then I want now more certain, more full of herself Daisy, now morally better, to then get with Carlos, and then they can do the smooches as well, and then it's happily ever after for them.
Up
High school
until like
relationships don't last very long.
up until like the last 5 minutes, I was like, I'm happy to put fuel on the fire for both the Adam Zoe and Adam Carlos ships.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm
I
just
saw
gonna
that.
both of them. But in the end, I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like it works that Carlos wingmans and is like,
Yeah.
nah, you go do the thing,
I like
He's
that you
still
went
getting
along
over-
with it.
and we bec-
And
and
what-
I become like friends with Carlos. And it's
I
nice.
wasn't sure how that scene was gonna play out, but I was like, oh yeah, Tiffany's just gonna like bully Adam into going out on this date. She's like, okay,
Like,
quick,
oh, it's
I gotta
happening
follow
now.
through on the promise.
No, it's like, do you want to go for pizza? Oh yeah, sure. And then you're like, right, you're going on a date. Wait, I am.
Also, in fairness, I don't think Carlos would date Daisy because he's super gay.
Oh yeah, he is super gay. I forgot
Yeah,
that.
that was the
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not.
that was the whole thing.
He's not bi.
He's not bi.
Yeah.
He's very gay.
We'll just be like besties. That's fine.
Well,
Tiffany
do
and
you reckon
Cecil
he'd
and
go out with
Cecil-
Oliver?
No, he'd hate everything about
That would
Oliver.
make the shape 3D.
No,
I
no,
don't
he
think-
would hate everything about Oliver.
I think this is
Yeah.
the final shape. I changed
He's
some
super
colors.
feely, and Oliver is super
What
judgy.
about-
He's super
what about
empathic.
Peter?
Oliver is sociopath.
I think you could totally date like Peter. Yeah, I feel like that.
Peter's
would
like
be
an artist,
Hmm.
Yeah.
like a
I
photographer.
feel like that's a better relationship. No, Oliver is
Peter's in
an
space. though.
asshole. Like, he's a terrible person.
Everyone's
That's
I
true,
was
saying
Peter.
like
Why did no one believe me?
that he was a terrible person.
Yeah.
Because you weren't trying to say he was a terrible
No,
person. You were like, you're
Adam
like
did.
something weird. You're like a monster, probably. And he's like, I am a normal human. You
wasn't-
fucking weirdo
well,
that's on fire.
I mean, Adam believed him when he's like, "Oh, he's too nice. It's weird." And I was like, I guess that makes sense in a weird way. Sure.
And Tiffany is blinded because she thinks that she thinks that Oliver's just super nice.
Yeah, he's very charismatic.
He was
He's good at
super nice
getting
to
his
her.
way. He's super manipulative.
Yeah.
He's just a person.
And whenever she told him about Cecil, he was super understanding about it.
Dickhead.
Was
Exactly.
Oliver really human? Yes. He's just very.
I like that the worst of us can still be
Yeah.
human. It doesn't matter that we're monsters. The worst of us can
Yeah,
still be
I
human.
like that. I enjoyed the fact that
He puts on a very good show. And there's also like a certain point, like I totally get your point, Imp, of like he probably should have just been like, I'm gonna scream and run away. But I mean, you either like there's sometimes people when faced with something very dramatic and traumatic, you enter a specific mode of just like, I've got to deal with this shit.
Yeah.
But there's also the part of telling a story, and that playing out a scene in which Oliver can talk to Cecil is far more interesting than playing Oliver runs away.
Also, there's people who are cool, right? That can keep
Mhm.
their cool versus people who can't. Like Tiffany kept her cool even though she was like getting eaten by
Even
Cecil.
then, I don't think it's a case of keeping your cool. Like, keeping
I'm
your
not
cool
trying to
if somebody
argue.
wants to murder you and is on fire is like, yeah, keeping my cool is still running away. But I think that there's also a level where if you overload someone with something so ridiculous, people can't accept it. They just act
Yeah.
normal. And he's
That's the
like,
thing, the
I don't
surrealness
understand, so
of a
I'm just gonna,
guy-
yeah.
The surrealness of a guy on fire talking to you is gonna make
Yeah.
you like, what?
Yeah,
What is
okay.
happening? Am
Yeah,
I-
Basically.
you'd be a
Yeah.
little confused, but sometimes you can still be like carrying out the conversation, be like, I can't accept, I don't know how to process. And so
He's
like
on
part
fire,
of me shuts
but he's
down.
also fine. What's going on? I need to ask him. I need to point out that he's on fire.
Basically,
fire,
like,
dude.
excuse me, sir, can you not see that you are on fire? No, but he's also like an asshole, and his whole thing is about being able to put on a persona, and
Yeah, and I liked
Yeah.
all the other, like a lot of people were running already. There was already chaos and people trying to run out of the school. So like made sense that like the core group of us are like the ones just being calm.
Mhm.
Calm.
Mhm.
I mean, Tiffany wasn't that calm, but she was like,
there's so many
What
weirdos at the school.
happened?
There's like 1,000 students at the school, and there's like 6 of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daisy wasn't calm either in that situation. She just killed a guy.
Yeah.
yeah. Daisy freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, well, I wanted her to be like half Fae, half human. Instead of just being like, yeah, she's just a person who's a mix of both. I was like, no, she literally has a human side and the Fae side, and they don't. It's
Fae
really
are
awkward.
scary. Like when I played Luna, scary. Fae are just scary. Like, whew. But I kind of want to play one forever because they're really fun. Now that you played one EE, you agree, right?
I couldn't top that thing. I was like, yeah, I did the scene with Cecil, and now I'm like, yeah, I can't top that. That's it.
Oh no, that was like your peak. That was.
That's
It's
good.
still my favorite scene. So, like even with the ending
Very
and going
good
up
moment.
into space, like I don't know. There's something surreal about like how creepy that was. I don't know why.
It's the flip reversal of power. It's like she is a relatively airheaded, like unassuming girl who's just pushed over by everyone, and then flipping into, yeah, no, I can literally kill you by not even raising a hand.
Speaking of Daisy, the thing that EE was sending us secrets about in chat that we were all discussing, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because that would have been a whole nother alternate
I
dimension.
was like, alternate idea. Like, I prefer how it ended out because it had like some interesting concepts. I was like, what if Daisy's like, because at the moment when everything was happening, it was like someone was dying over there, someone else was dying over there. Carlos is like, I sometimes kill people when I'm a werewolf. And I was like, what if Daisy just says to her father, fine, I'll join you, but can everyone just be normal people? And then that would have interesting unknown effects because it might turn an alien into a person. It might give, you know, Benson's character a full-on backstory of he wasn't born yesterday. People would become normal and everything would be fine. But it was more interesting the way it turned out.
My counter
I
to
don't
that
think
is that it
Lauren would
wouldn't
let everything
give.
be normal.
My
She
counter to
would've
that is
found
that
a
it
way
Definitely
would-
wouldn't have been fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have given Adam a previous life because he is who he is because of the life he's living. Because if he lived a normal life, then he would be Dr. Walton, not Adam.
Also, with Tiffany, she's technically two different people because Tiffany is a person who willingly let an alien use her as a host. So the alien is a separate
She was like
person.
a child, though. So, like, how willing is a child?
True. Let's not talk about it. This is why the aliens were like, let's get the susceptible students. Remember, I told you, I was like, they're trying to go for like the people who are the most impressionable.
Also, they've got a huge, like, they're a different culture entirely. They might assume that, hey, as soon as you can understand who you are in a concept of self and a concept of other people, that's good enough to make decisions. You
That's
know?
true.
Why did people
Yeah,
draw
no, and
arbitrary
I'm
ages?
like, they're aliens, whatever.
Yeah.
This was Maggie was like, yes, I have an alien. I'm like, done. Yeah,
Like-
that's fine. Whatever. I got aliens, clones, fairies, and a dead guy. Like,
Old-
let's
I
make
can't
it all
remember-
work together somehow.
I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was like China, I think it was like a couple of hundred years ago. Instead of making like legal decisions based on arbitrary ages, they were like, legal decisions based on height. When you reach this high, you are legally able to make autonomous decisions. I was like,
no.
sure, that's grown up, sure.
Oh, and to throw another wrench into it all, Tiffany's last name is King. So now,
Originally,
You should've
Maggie was
just been
like,
a gold.
what
You
if
should've
she's
been a
a
gold.
gold? And I was like, I can't make that work. I need you to drop. I will let alien, but I can't.
But then
make
you could have had the
Stargate also
crossover. Instead of
work.
the Men in Black at the end, it's our SG team kicking down the door.
yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be the SGT. I wanted that to be what it was. But she was like, I can't put this together. I'm like, it does happen technically on Earth.
Yeah, and
she's
then
like,
Lauren could have said,
"Bottom
right, E,
line."
I need you to quickly switch clothes and just be like,
It also
I'm not
puts
sure what
the
went on
Fae
here.
in the Stargate universe.
Yeah, that was
Which
the
is
bigger issue.
awesome.
Wasn't bringing the Stargate universe into this one. It was like, I can't. That's not how the Stargate universe works.
Also, I need Grim to just do that, like, gif of you just going, ah!
There's plenty of those gifts of Lauren doing that, actually.
We've made Lauren do that a lot recently, yeah.
And speaking of hints and names, Captain Robert Walton is the perspective character of the Frankenstein book.
Ah, there you
Yeah.
go.
That's why his dad is
I
called.
mean, your name was also
Robert
Adam.
Walton. Yeah, well, that was the idea of that was that he kind of got a bit biblical and full of himself when Adam was born. So some of the first
Yeah.
things he heard were that I am Adam and male, and he made me in his image, and
Yeah.
it's like, I guess I'm
Yeah.
Adam, and I'm okay.
Your dad
whatever
got a
that
bit full of
means.
himself. Was that before or after he made you in his image because he decided that that would be the perfect
Exactly.
human?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He did a bit of a speech and got a bit.
You know, it wasn't the
bit
perfect
nuts.
human, but it was an excellent science experiment.
He did it. He made a clone, and then he's like, "Oh, you need life experience to be normal."
Quick, go to school.
I'm sure you'll catch up, and you'll be a genius like me soon enough.
Yeah, that totally.
Yeah, that's not how cloning's probably gonna work.
I just needed a lab assistant. They didn't want a lab assistant that wasn't as smart as I am.
I just need a smaller me, okay?
Look, I keep making robot lab assistants, and they keep being sentient and trying to destroy the world. So, biology is dumber. Let's go with biology.
Hmm.
And then there was Cecil, who just made terrible decision after terrible
Cecil
decision.
was such a jerk.
That was my guiding star whilst playing this character. I was like, what is the most dickhead thing I can do in this moment?
There's a reason I was like, this
But
time
also
I'm not
he's
going to
an
play a
idiot.
jerk.
He's not like a smart asshole like previous characters I played. He's just an idiot asshole.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, Tiffany's not smart either. She's also like she doesn't realize she's being a jerk. But now that she has the condition self-aware, so that changed. That made my character progression change quite a bit because she's a jerk, but she doesn't realize she was being a jerk until that whole condition happened, which was cool.
But they are lower life forms. Honestly, when I made my character, I was like, I don't need to be a jerk. Josh tends to do the
No,
jerk
we-
pretty well.
We have enough jerks, for sure.
Oh, I hate that's the stereotype character. That
When do you
I
not
have.
play a jerk in an emotionally roleplay heavy show?
So there was part of the reason I was like, when you created Carlos as the best friend, I was like, what would be the meanest? He is desperately in love with you. He thinks you're the best. He's gonna be super nice to you, just to help indicate how much of a jerk you are.
Which
Yeah,
was
so I can
so
easily
good.
manipulate him.
Yeah.
And then reject him.
People were so mad at me in that one episode where I was like, where Tiffany was like, "Who's Carlos?" And people were like,
That was
"What?
so
No!" I was like, Tiffany
That
wouldn't
was
remember
like-
him. Tiffany's terrible.
That was like last episode, right?
Yeah, I
And then,
know.
like after all of this, you're like, who? That was perfect. That was so perfect.
She's like, she's also terrible. And every time I said something, I'd be like, "Oh my god, that came out of my mouth." It
Hmm.
was bad.
This has, yes, everyone's pointing out Saito, Morgan. Now
I mean,
I'm gonna have to
Barnaby.
break away
Yeah.
from
Your mass character,
this. Chad.
Yeah, Frey was kind of a
Yeah.
jerk.
Oh, fuck.
your Stargate
Okay.
Josh is like,
character.
"Shit."
Malik was,
He was
had moments.
lovely.
He
No,
was,
Malik was
Like, was nice.
innocent.
he was a little bit of a jerk. That's the
No.
lowest you got on the jerk scale, I think.
He was naive.
That's true. Naive jerk a little
I
bit.
don't think jerk is necessarily.
Yeah, maybe
what-
jerk like requires a little bit of malice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frey had an arc, but he definitely was a jerk in the
Yeah,
beginning.
Frey's
Definitely.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I still love Mask so much. Like I know
Yeah.
we're not talking about that right now, but
Oh, it's
still
such a
one of
good
my
show.
favorite
We've done a lot of shows together. y'all.
shows. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
that's
have.
true. That's true. He did
This is-
ignore. He broke quarantine.
This is the first
Never
break
mind.
we're gonna have for a little while with not this group. We've been role playing
Yeah.
together for like 2 years. It's crazy.
Over
It's
2.5.
almost 3.
It's a lot.
Oh yeah, almost 3. Nuts.
It was like we started September-ish,
I want to say August, late August.
20 whatever,
it
2.5
was-
years ago is 2017.
I mean, I can look on my calendar. Let's see.
Yeah.
Thanks,
You know, the
Google,
world
for
started
keeping
going to
me
shit as soon as we started role playing, and it's accelerated. So we're gonna fix the world by stopping role playing as this group for a little bit.
I have the first episode of Layla the Vampire Slayer on August 13th, 2017.
Yeah.
About
Wow.
2.5
Long
years.
time.
Yep.
Well,
I
I
need a graph.
appreciate everybody for joining us because it has been a crazy ride of amazing stories that we have created. And I'm sure
All
when we
of your
come back
characters are
together,
monsters.
it'll be great.
Yeah, I can assure you, like, hopefully this group comes back at some point, but also everyone.
Oh, I mean,
Be on
all of the
hold for
people
it
who are going
more.
to be doing the Apocalypse World show are fucking rad. Like,
yeah,
it's
they're
going to
cool
be a good show.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot of
But
fun.
we have a lot to reminisce about of terrible characters that you all played.
We do. Yeah, I totally didn't write a note to somebody, a magical note to break up with them, and no,
Yeah,
didn't do
no,
it.
Layla has never done anything wrong in her life ever.
Never, totally not. Totally not a
just-
jerk.
I just wish that system was just
Running
slightly,
off
slightly
to
better,
Tunisia.
and it would be so good. Just play the system forever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Imogen was also not a good person.
No,
I mean, that's why we
should've
made
said
like a
that.
perfect couple. It was great.
It
What the
Yeah.
funniest part for me is, and I was telling EE this the other day, is that someone like there were people who legit messaged us and were like, "Are you guys actually dating in real life?" Because we made the characters seem like they were like so real that we were like actually dating in real life. I was like, "No, we're not."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still loved about that the whole it can alter your writing storyline because it works so beautifully.
It was
and
cool.
the flip moment for you realizing that was like, oh, it can change our writing. Wait, we just sent Layla away with a golem that we put words in its head. Oh no! And I was like, and now cut to Layla with a golem. It was,
Oh yeah.
yes, I set that up. It took 13 episodes to pay off. So happy.
It was so good. But I guess with Monster Hearts, you know, we did get somebody who messaged us on Facebook who was like, "Oh, I was kind of really hoping that this would be a longer form Monster Hearts because it's always so short." Because there are grown-up, like when you grow up rules and stuff like that.
There are grown-up moves and things you can take. I do always
Yeah.
find like I don't actually. I mean, this is one of the longer runs. We did like 8 weeks with Avalon, and I feel like that was about like the absolute.
I think it was
maximum of
pushing it.
Monster Hearts.
I would honestly say maybe a week less for Optimum. Like, I think it started to tail off with how, like, we still pulled it off. I think it worked great.
Yeah.
But I think if you were to optimize and be like the best length, I'd say 6, maybe 7 weeks.
Yeah, and I
If you
think
can run
that's
that
So
a.
way.
it always lends itself to fire.
Yeah.
But you,
Yeah.
it really a lot of it comes down to like as players, how hard do you choose to drive into the bad decision making? And there are things like adult moves and stuff that you can take, and it just sort of depends on if that's the story that you want to tell with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good PBTA systems that kind of can lean into this sort of emotional drama because almost all of them have mechanisms for interpersonal relationships
Yeah.
and moves related to that. So I don't know if Monster Hearts is necessarily one that I'm like personally super interested in running for. I mean, I'd run like 6 weeks.
I think
but
you
I
could
don't
if you
know
did
I
if
do
you
much.
if we ran the characters a little bit differently. Like obviously someone's like, I don't know how these could survive with more than 4 weeks. We rode these
I mean,
characters
you
pretty
could
hard.
play
Like,
it slower, etc. The issue
we
is
were
that like
purposely-
a lot of the moves are like big, impactful moves and so on, and like they tend to accelerate the shit happening.
Yeah.
And the more the shit happens, the faster the train moves. So it's
and we were
And I mean-
we were purposely speeding things up because we knew
Yeah.
that we only had 4 weeks to make things happen. If we were going for a much more like longer prolonged thing, like some of us maybe wouldn't have shared our secret so soon, right? Like
I
we
mean,
would've-
also I deliberately
Probably
built it into my
Probably wouldn't have
character.
jumped off a building in the first episode.
yeah.
Yeah, like I built my character as a, hey, we've only got 4 weeks, so you know this whole
Yeah.
thing with Oliver, let's have that already have happened rather than saying like,
Yeah.
hey, that's a thing at the beginning.
And that is also why Cecil and Tiffany, we were like, we're going to have this relationship that is secret. And we had agreed with this prior to the show
Yeah.
starting. Because we're
And,
like, that's a cool, interesting thing that maybe we would have played out in a show, but we couldn't because we only had 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think
So that
like
was
the
kinda
drama we can easily extend longer. It's just the system doesn't as well support it. Masks is slightly better for that. Like the grown-up moves are also kind of a little bit more expansive and a little bit better. And I also think that honestly, the underlying system in Masks where harm is emotional damage at the same time, rather than in this where it's like they're two separate trackers that don't really intermingle very well. Whereas in Masks it's very tight. It's evolved based on this. I love the mask system. I would honestly port the mask system back for Monster Hearts 3.
The mask system is it's very similar to this, obviously, but like I love it. I think it plays.
I think it's one of the
plays really
better
well.
PBTA systems that I've certainly played.
Mm.
I think you can
It's
go for a much longer, prolonged period of time with that, except for with the moves. The moves is where like it starts getting like dwindling.
So
Yeah.
I played Monster of the Week. Paladin's asking about it in chat. I like Monster of the Week, but it is not intended to be teenage drama. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
It
that's-
doesn't have conditions in the same way it does harm. So it's a little bit of a better, like, supernatural-esque. It can do Buffy. I think that's some of the intention behind it, but it's a little bit leans more towards adults, where Masks and Monster Hearts are both very clearly attempting to recreate teenagers and bad decisions that come with being teenagers.
And I know people constantly keep asking us about Buffy. I know EE's looking at, other systems we could potentially use for Layla the Vampire Slayer, but I don't know. It's been a while, so I don't know
It's
if
been
we-
so long. It'd have to be. You'd have to time skip in the.
Yeah, I said that if we bring it back by this point, because we'd also, like, there's a lot of new people, and a lot of the old people can't remember, like, the context. Hell, as a GM, I can't remember some of the context that we had. I'd probably just be like, honestly, skip forwards, you're at university now. There's been a time skip, think about how things have changed, and then you can, like, do the reintroduction.
yeah. So
I'm
there's
also-
I know people have been asking about that. We got a couple questions about that on some of our VODs and some of the other things because they knew that like Monster Hearts was going to be so slow. They're like, well, maybe with this is the and EE's not going to be on Apocalypse World, so people are like, ooh, maybe he's taking time off so that he can make the Layla season 3.
I am working on things.
Yeah, we are working on things. We have a lot of other shows that are planned for this year and also the coming year, and also that are waiting on timelines of other stuff. But yeah, we have some plans. And in regards to Layla, though, that's like a whole nother thing where EE has to find a better system that we are willing to.
I mean, it would probably involve like hacking the system as well, because nothing out the box is gonna be Buffy. One of the things that Buffy system does incredibly well is that introduction, that first like 10 episodes you do, maybe, you know, up to 16. After that, it starts to break down a bit. But the system is so good for that. Like, it plays it perfectly for that bit. Like, if you're going to play something short, the Buffy system is great for that. It's also really easy to pick up, simple system. And honestly, I love the way the books are written because it's very conversational, very in-joke about Buffy. I think there is one of the core books that's not the main book that isn't that good. It was written by someone else, and it's not...
I would like to do a spin-off of like summer, like a couple episodes of like summer and what everyone does on the summer.
Yeah,
that would be fun. Because like we left off on some interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to lean towards stories having a conclusion, whether it means that they're done. I think that they're so people always are like, oh, Firefly's so great. One of my theories is part of the reason Firefly is so great is it only got 12 episodes. It didn't have time to get shitty. And like inevitably most shows, if they go on too long, stop being good.
Yeah, and the last thing you remember about a show is the last bit of the show. That's just the way your brain works. And that's why whenever anyone talks about Stargate, one of the first topics is, it's a shame it never went beyond 7, 8 seasons, whatever you want to say. Yeah. Because everyone instantly remembers.
Stargate had
that's why no one talks about Game of Thrones anymore.
Yeah, you always remember the first thing and the last thing, so it's really difficult.
Game of Thrones season 1, fantastic, but every time we mention Game of Thrones, you have to go, oh yeah.
As a writer too, I think there gets to a point where like if you're just trying to draw it, if you're purposely trying to draw it out so you can keep a cast going, it's like, well, might as well just cut it and make a good story and then come up back with a new story. In my opinion, that's how I see it. But I not everyone feels that way. Some people just want to prolong things forever. But yeah, a time skip would be crazy for Layla, and I know everyone's like, time skip, what?
But the thing is, like our time skips always end up, like, time always passes slower in Layla than it did in real life, and that might still be the case with a time skip, because it's been a year and a half since we finished Layla. If we only time skipped a year, we still would be going slower than normal time.
Yeah, you would actually be going at normal Layla time speed, which is half, like, real time or whatever.
That's true.
I honestly, mentioning Layla, I do want to say that a big part of Layla was just the cast. Because I was just like going into being like, I guess we can do this, and oh, these are interesting decisions. Quickly change the plan. Right, I'm going to go full node rather than part node. Full node system, they go. And they did such an amazing job. You know, the whole break up my magical text message. I didn't touch any of that. That's entirely you two, like forming that bond and that relationship and then going back and forth.
Lauren and I had so many conversations out of game because we're like, how do we fix our characters? Because obviously we've been playing these characters for so long and we're like really emotional about them, right? And I think we're like, how do we keep playing together? Because not me and her personally, but like our characters, because that situation was such a big moment, and like all the things.
But they're still like, unless one of our characters is no longer on the show, and like we come back with a new character, it's like, okay, how do we resolve this in a way that allows both these characters to stay on the show, or do we need to do something that's not that?
And I think we did a good job of trying to like resolve that, and like she basically would like talk to me and was like, here's the thing that would have to happen, and so I made that happen because I was like, that makes sense, and that is something that totally makes sense for Layla to do. So it was a very interesting thing. I still want to know where other Barnaby is.
Other B.
Back Tarby, who got made human, so I guess he's, what is he, just alt Barnaby?
Who even knows at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to think about it too much.
That was entirely, by the way, just a weird, everyone said a few different things. I was like, okay, I guess that happens now. But yeah, I was going to say, like, the Imogen Barnaby bit was so great as well.
People are right, though. Stargate is a system I think could keep going for a while.
Well, Stargate as a system is based on Pathfinder. Well, not
Yeah.
Pathfinder, sorry, D&D 3.0. And D&D 3.0 is meant to go, hey, 20 levels, and then you get prestige stuff. Like, you can go to, like, what,
Yeah.
40 levels or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's
based
a
on
lot
that. You
of-
can go for
there's-
ages.
And the
There's
way
a
the
lot.
episodicness of it goes.
Yeah. Like, it's designed to be a scaling system, etc. And part of it is it's actually kind of terrible for the first 1 or 2 levels mechanically, because a lot of your characters are still trying to pick up stuff so they can be normal humans. Like, Maggie was running around as a scientist going, I can't, no, you could vaguely shoot people. You're actually the second best shooter in the game. That was it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, yeah.
I just rolled really well. I don't know.
No, you didn't just roll really well. You were the only person who could use an assault rifle other than me. And then, like, the captain couldn't fire an assault rifle or something because you were, like, only leadership. And
There were a lot. It's a
Yeah.
D&D 3.0 is a complicated system.
I mean, I kind of like their concept, but it's just so poorly laid out. Like, I like the idea of, hey, just pick feats and make whatever class you want. Like, it's a buffet. Take whatever abilities, sure. But it's so poorly laid out. It's a bit like Blades in the Dark. Like, Blades in the Dark, you can take any ability you want.
One of the things that I always struggle though with a system that's like, oh yeah, take whatever you want and like pick these feats is that you kind of like, especially as the GM, you kind of have to be aware of what there are feats for. Because if it's like a player's like, I want to do X thing, and it's like, is there a feat that would allow them to do X thing? Therefore, I can't let them do it if they don't have the feat. Is
Yeah,
always
true.
a sort of an interesting place where it's like, this is a thing that is specifically outlined in the rules in a different place that can be done in X way. So what do I need to be aware of as a GM? And I think it just requires you to know a lot about the potential ways
Yeah.
characters could be built.
I mean,
you
when
don't
the
want to allow
rulebook
a
is...
player to do a thing and then have someone pick up a feat to do that later on, because then that just kind of nerfs feat.
Yeah, we are definitely keeping an eye out for the next Stargate game.
Yeah.
For sure. I know a lot of people are talking about it. We would obviously want to see it first. We usually with systems, we always like looking them over and making
This
sure we're
might be
okay with
3
them.
Yeah, I think
based
there's
off
been
of
about
limited edition.
1 or 2 systems which we were like, oh, this is really interesting. Hey, E, do you want to GM this? And I was like, cool, give me the rulebook. And I looked at them and went, guys, we cannot play this. It's just unplayable. I don't want to call the systems out, but...
Yeah, there was one
that's
system.
happened a couple of times now where it's like, oh, this
Yeah.
isn't great.
There's this one game that not game. There's this one story that we all want to tell, and we have been like looking at we've been looking at systems that we could play it with, and we did find a system, but then it turned out not to be good, so we ended up not making it. But like those are the type of things that happen. Like we're always looking for a system because there's some stories that we all want to tell, but like we have to find the right system for it. It's weird. I don't know how to explain that other than making our own system, which obviously we have done in the past. We've kind of like homebrewed some stuff.
Yeah, we homebrewed the mage thing to make a mage little like set of episodes, which was really cool.
And I
Cheese
feel
Quest
like
was
Game
entirely
of Thrones.
Yeah, Cheese Quest was just it was pretty good. I like Cheese Quest. Y'all
Cheese Quest
pulled
was
it
really
off.
good.
Yeah.
I want another Cheese
Pull.
Quest.
And that's the thing, right? This is the Firefly thing. The same thing Lauren said earlier. I wouldn't want a second one because I think it had a perfect arc. It rounded it, hit the end. I don't know what you do the second one. And I honestly would like, I think anything that might fall short, because stuff like the whole Bubba character, like you couldn't hit those archetypes without just being compared. And I don't think you'd want to, because either Bubba will come off lesser, which will ruin your memory, or the new character come off lesser, which will make you think that the new thing isn't as good. Like it was
Well,
just
we could
so...
we could play other small creatures, animals. Like we could play other animals,
Yeah,
right?
I just feel that like Cheese Quest just it did the circle perfectly, and it was like
Yeah.
that is now.
New pitch, Carrot Quest, your rabbits.
Yay! Bentham GMs it.
The problem is
Bun, bun,
rabbits are too big. As mice, everything is such a different scale. Whereas rabbits, I think, just large enough where they still can see things how we as people do to an extent.
Rabbits are pretty small.
No.
Like as a rabbit, you're bigger than a
I think you're
shoe.
thinking of elephants.
There are.
I mean, if you everyone's Netherland dwarf
as big as a
rabbits, you're
rabbit.
all as short as mice.
Yeah, okay, if you all played dwarf rabbits. But like the one thing I also liked about Cheese Quest with the mice range is that Bubba was the size of like a big rat. And then we had who was it? Who was like a mouse like that big.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can also
It's
do
like,
that with bunnies.
aw.
You can have the really tiny bunnies, and then you can have the mega bunnies.
But if you have the mega bunny, it's so big, it's like a lawnmower size. And you're like, that's, again, you're getting to the people sort of size. It's like, it's not as big as a person, but it can see things how a person almost sees things in terms of, you know, things that people see as threats, you know, same thing for a bunny, etc. Whereas the mice, everything's so different.
That's a
Sheep Quest. Sheep Quest.
Hero
We're
Sheep
all
Quest.
hero
Sheep,
Acorn
yeah.
Quest, your squirrels. That was what yeah.
Oh, squirrels would be cute.
I can just do squirrels because you also have the verticality. Things are different from how we see them with people because you can go up and stuff.
In Sheep Quest, you can have hero sheep.
Yeah, but then that's just a
Ahead of
single player RPG, and Hero Sheep's OP anyway.
Yeah.
I will say though, we definitely should do Tales of Equestria style thing with Lauren.
That's what
Imogen.
Hero Sheep. I completely forgot what Hero Sheep was. It was you spent a fate point when the golem attacked you for a sheep
yeah,
to take
to
the
not
blow.
die.
That was it.
Yeah,
I was like, wait,
If
what was
the
it?
sheep
That was
got
it.
in the way.
That's how I was bringing
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah. Aw, that poor sheep. And then
You
you
could
spent
totally
a
do that.
fate.
I think-
Didn't you spend a fate point for the sheep to be okay or something?
Yeah, I think we
Something
did.
like that. Yeah.
Drama point.
Drama points.
That drama.
Also,
point,
chat, Cow Quest is a thing. It's the show that me and E are in on Tuesday.
Hero Sheep was the chat's
You
drama.
can't face Palmy E. It was your idea.
yeah. People took me up on it. It's not their fault.
I thought Hero Sheep was the chat's drama point.
Well, maybe.
No,
Oh yeah,
they
chat
spent
spends
their
a drama
point
point
for
for the
sheep
sheep
to be okay. That was it.
Because
Yeah.
chat earned
Yeah.
a drama point for an excellent pun at one point.
Yeah.
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 I do like
it.
that. That was such a good system for that.
So
I
they
love
made
the
Hero
drama
Sheep.
point system. It
Yeah.
it just gave this really like movie
Yeah.
TV esque.
The problem is, like,
aspect to it.
towards the end, it starts to break down, and that's part of the breaks down. But at the beginning, do you remember when we had that dual fight scene with Layla on the bus with Robert? And Layla was just kicking ass, didn't need to use drama points much, but occasionally threw it out to do something cool. And Robert was like, I'm just trying to fight one vampire next to you, throwing drama points just to take down one guy. Meanwhile, in the kebab shop, Imogen and Barnaby are having problems with one vampire.
It's
Yeah.
also my favorite drama point earned when I said time to hit the road and kicked one of them
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The floaty magnetic hand thing was vital
So
for
good.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Good times.
They knew what they were doing when they made that system, and they made Buffy, and that's honestly the best thing you can have from a show that imitates a system that imitates a show or a game or existing media. If you can get it so that it feels like you're in that show, they did a fantastic job. Scaling not so good, but honestly, it's a great system for that.
It's an issue with a lot of RPGs though in general.
Yeah.
I think in general, it has been lovely playing with you all. It's going to
been
be
a
weird
pleasure.
to take a break. I'd feel weird not seeing you all every week.
I'm 100% gonna like panic wake up on Sundays for a little while. Be like, yeah.
Yeah,
But
for
we
me,
will
it's-
return
it's
together
particularly-
another day for sure.
I am sure.
Yeah.
For me, it's particularly weird because like we've been doing this for over 2.5 years. I played my first ever RPG 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
There you
this,
go.
this is my
Bentham's-
this is my cast. This is my team.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
And I think that's gonna wrap it up for our after
Yeah.
show, right?
It's like
Yeah.
Bentham's still on the Avengers, but they've changed all the Avengers. Like Iron Man's left.
He's Spider-Man.
He totally is.
Spider-Beb.
Okay, so Bentham is Spider-Man out of the Avengers. Who are the rest of us?
And
That's what we're gonna
Harley,
leave it on.
Clearly, no.
What is this Suicide Squad all of a sudden?
I was like, we've gone from Marvel
need
to DC?
If we want to know who
Avengers.
we are in Marvel, we need to all go do that personality.
personality crest. Okay, yeah.
I know,
we
I'm
need to do
Bruce
personal-
Banner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm Tony Stark, apparently.
Who was I? Oh,
I have no idea who I am. Haven't
You
taken this quiz.
were
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Yeah, that was it.
Mm,
Yeah. I want to point out this is what the admin meeting last week dissolved into. We all did this thing and then looked who we were, and it turned out that we had quite a lot of things where we're like, oh, we all make teams in the different universes. Like Maggie was Sam Carter, whereas Bentham was Daniel Jackson, and I was O'Neill. I was like, oh, okay. There's a lot of this
Why would
going
you
on.
wanna
was,
be anyone
he
other
was
than
Sherlock,
Carter?
I was Watson, and Maggie was the landlady.
yeah, I forgot about that one.
Well, I'll
Which,
be Black
which
Widow.
makes sense. I feel like that very well encapsulates the dynamic.
Which
I was
one?
gonna go for like Captain Marvel.
Which one were you saying, Bentham?
The Sherlock one.
Hmm.
Oh, the Sherlock
And
one. Yeah.
specifically
I'm the
BBC Sherlock.
landlord.
This is important because that means I'm what's his face from
Ah, yes. What's his face?
I can't remember his
Oh,
name.
yes. What's his face?
Ooh,
I love
be
that
my
character.
Oh, the guy who plays Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, goodbye. That's it.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging
Go play
out
the
with us for our
personality
after
quiz.
shows. We do a lot of these after every show. So
Oh, we do. Yeah, you can go find them on the
subscribe
Patreon,
to
the
our
$5 tier and above.
Patreon and help support us so we can do more amazing stories.
We
and
like playing our
share.
cast, and we like being good people who do that, and we like doing the things and rewarding people for being amazing. So we need to do that through our Patreon. So thank you.
It's been a good time, and we should do this again.
We should.
Yeah. Oh, I love you all. It's
I
gonna
like
be
breaking
so
people's hearts. Bye.